All right, what's up, family? Let me make sure I'm good. Checking the sound. Is my sound good, folks? What's up, family? Is my sound good? I want to make sure my sound is good before I go in. Let me know what's happening. I'm gonna let a few hundred of y'all come in, and then I'm gonna go in. If you are familiar with the channel, you know how we get down. I want to know what city, what state you're representing. If you're outside of the US, let me know what country you're representing. I'm going to give out a few shout outs before I get started. Also, go ahead and after you drop your city, your state, your country, if you're outside of the US, let me know what your opinion is on this topic. If you have questions, drop your question after you let me know what city, what state, what country you're coming in from. If you have solutions, that's your answers. Give me an answer. I need to know that. And as always, the people who jump into the super chat, that's a feature that YouTube has that allows people to basically skip the line when there's a conversation going on or something like that. So if you hit the super chat, you're gonna skip the line. Otherwise, I will get to you, and it would depend on how well the question is crafted or the answer is crafted, but also, more importantly, if I can see it, because a lot of times this is happening in real time, so it's moving like this. I mean, it's moving very, very quickly. The chat is moving very, very quickly, so I can't catch all of the comments, but I will catch the ones that catch my eye. All right? Let's see where y'all coming in from. So another thing, this right here, this platform, this is the family meeting. So think about family meetings. Y'all know how it goes. It's a family meeting. It's something urgent. It's something that needs to be talked about. It's a serious situation. So like all family meetings, we're going to have a certain amount of decorum here, a certain amount of respect. We can agree to disagree, but just do not be disrespectful. That is the number one. That's the cardinal sin. If you are disrespectful, we will block you. Your comment will be deleted, and we're gonna send you out into the streets with the rest of the trash. Now, having said that, let's get started. Okay, so you, me, I saw you the other day. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. You say you want to knock out his chops, huh? Who is this, Greg? Greg, where you coming in from? People thinking the same thing. You just said it. Most of the industry dudes want to get at her themselves. They might already be in the DMs. Okay, so let me drop something on y'all right quick. And I have a very interesting guest coming up in a few minutes. Guy who goes by the name of Charlemagne the God. And he had a very, very interesting take on this situation. And I'm gonna let y'all hear what he had to say. But before I get into what he has to say, I'm gonna just tell you what I think about this whole situation. The deal is that Kodak Black is facing a plethora of pushback, criticism, for the comments that he made toward Nipsey Hussle's widow, Lauren London. Many people thought it to be very disrespectful for him to shoot his shot, considering the fact that Nipsey Hussle hasn't even been buried. This is like just 6 days after Nipsey Hussle was murdered. Kodak Black was on the internet saying that he's going to give Lauren London a whole year of crying and shit before he make any potential move on her. So, of course, that's pretty much, the way I read the comments, it seems like most people were very, very pissed about his comments, but he did have a large number of supporters. And as far as my side of the story is that I'm not one of those people that supported what he said. I think that it was, not think, but I know that it was in bad taste. And some people say, well, you know, y'all guys, y'all made this type of music and y'all said worse and da, 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 you know, what about what y'all did and da, da, da. You know, I don't know what people been listening to. I know as far as when you mention ghetto boys, when you speak on ghetto boys, we took pride in educating people. Yeah, we talked about the street life, but we never glorified it. We always gave solutions. We told you, this is what's happening. This is the issue. This is what I'm going to do about it. And this is the consequences likely of my actions. So y'all make sure when y'all start talking that shit about music and who said what and this right here, you make sure you put the GB in a class by itself and you make sure you put it in perspective. And there's a number of other artists that gave a lot of enlightening information, but people just tend to hear what they want to hear because there are, for every person that said, I went out and committed the crime after I heard your song, there's 10 other people who heard that exact same song, 100 people who heard that exact same song and didn't go out and commit a crime. You know why? Because people hear what they want to hear. That's what it is. You can say that we didn't make the best choices. Of course, I mean, every generation, no generation was perfect. So while we didn't make the best choices, we made a lot of mistakes, but we always had boundaries. There were certain lines that we just did not cross. We didn't go out and once we got hot, once it was our turn, we didn't criticize and demean the artists who came before us. We didn't shit on the OGs. We had a certain amount of respect. Now, if that was a beef, that was a rare thing and that was different. But even then, everybody knows you don't get points going in on your elders. In fact, it shows a lack of discipline when you go in on your elders. It shows a lack of understanding. It really shows that you're unlearned. Because in every society, in order for a society to be vital, to be productive, that society has to have a certain amount of respect for its elders because the elders are wiser. That's why they say old man for, they say young man for war and old man for wisdom. Because the old man, he's already been there. He can tell you how to navigate. So he may not have the energy to go out there and fight the war, but tactically, he can tell you how to win that war. That's why so many youngsters make mistakes and so many people, when they're young and they're reckless, they lose their lives and they make these decisions that cost them years and years of their freedom because they just don't know. They don't know any better. But the older person, the elder has already been there. And that's why the elder can give you guidance. And you can put your youthism and that energy that you have, that vigor that you have, if you can put that together with the wisdom of your elders, you'll be unstoppable. But I can tell you for a fact, the people that I know who are blatantly disrespectful, they experience an unusual amount of danger setbacks, and just bad energy. They experience an unusual amount of that. So when I say that a person should be mindful of how they speak, I'm not attacking a person. I'm not attacking you. I'm giving you information based on experience. I can tell you what the odds are for you being disrespectful. Somebody is going to call you on that. The thing about fame is intoxicating. What I mean by that is that oftentimes you can be blinded by your money, your fame, and you get a false sense of security. You get a false sense of reality because you have all of these people telling you how great you are. And you have people, security people, pushing people out of the way. Get out of the way, coming through, we're coming through. Whoa. And he's like, yeah, you know. And then the next thing you know, you're swinging on people, you're putting yourself in compromising positions. And next thing you know, you're either in court or you get your noodles knocked. So, and I'm speaking from experience. At some point, we got to get to a point to where people are held accountable for their actions. We can't keep just saying, well, y'all used to do it. It's like a gang member. It's like somebody who done shot 5 people coming to me and saying, man, you don't need to do that gang stuff, man. I already did it. You don't need to do that. So what I'm gonna do? I'm stupid. Well, you was in a gang. How you gonna tell me not to be in a gang? Because I've been there and done that. And I can tell you that it's not going to turn out like you think it's going to turn out. That's how I can tell you about gang life. That's how I can tell you to not go that route. But some people are just hard-headed. For some people, you can tell them, hey man, don't stick your hand in that damn fire because it's gonna burn you, and they're gonna stick their hand in there anyway. Now, I do believe that our youngsters should be educated and not ridiculed. I believe that 100%. But the ones who don't want to listen, we can't afford the luxury. We don't have the luxury of giving them a pass. We're in a state of emergency. So at some point, we got to stop blaming everybody else. We got to stop blaming our childhood, blaming our daddy, blaming our mama. We got to start looking at ourselves, because if we end up in that courtroom, the judge don't want to hear none of that. They're not going to consider none of that. They are going to give you that 20 years, that 50 years, that 10 years, that 100 years, that life sentence, death sentence. When you cross that line and that killer, you might be a killer, but there's always other killers. So when you cross that line, man, the killer don't want to know what about you, how you grew up. They don't want to know that you was a crack baby. Killer don't care if you just had a newborn child. They don't care about none of that. All they know is that you crossed that line. So on a personal note, I really wouldn't wish any harm to dude. When I say dude, Kodak Black, I don't really wish any harm to that dude. What I wish is that somebody around him pull his coat and say, yo, dog, that ain't it. That's not it. We never disrespected the dead. Like I said, we had boundaries. Yeah, we made mistakes like all generations do, but we didn't disrespect the dead. Or if anybody did, that was an exception. That was not the norm. And I can't think of anybody who did anything like that when I was coming up. We didn't do things like that. So at some point, we got to stop blaming everybody else and start saying, yeah, but man, we got to be held accountable for that. We can't let that slide. There has to be a code of conduct. If we are to ever get this shit figured out, there has to be a code of conduct. Hence the whole idea of this family meeting. I said to myself, man, I need to do something to where we come together at least once a week and we air out these grievances or talk about how we're going to move the culture forward, you know? So that's what we are. Again, I got my guest, Charlemagne the God, coming up if you're just tuning in.
The culture forward.
Hold on.
You know?
Charlemagne the God is coming up in a few ticks. And he got a very interesting take on this. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let me see what y'all saying. Greg Belizaire, The Game disrespected Kanye and Joe Budden, but mad when Kodak was saluting Nip and was contemplating on his pretty Lauren he must have not watched the whole thing. Okay. So I've heard some people saying things like that, like some of the people that's been criticized, been critical of Kodak Black, you know, got their own, you know, issues. And that may be true. But again, y'all, keep in mind, Kodak Black still have to answer for his part, his role. You still have to be responsible for your actions. So while these other guys may have their own issues, you know, if you did something egregious, you still got to be held accountable for what you did. You can't just get a pass because the person who's calling you out did something bad themselves. You dig what I'm saying? You still have to be held accountable for your actions. And that's what I'm talking about right now. We have to be responsible for our actions. It's like, since we're having a family meeting, let's say I'm the father and I smoke weed. So my son goes to school and he smokes weed and he gets caught. Okay, yeah, he probably picked that up off of me, but guess what? The principal don't give a damn about all of that. You out of here. As simple as that. You're gonna be held responsible in this society. You're gonna be held responsible for your own actions, period. Doesn't matter what influenced your actions. It doesn't matter that somebody who don't like you is calling out those actions. You're still gonna have to be held responsible for your own actions. So we can't just give people passes just because we had our own problems back in the day. We can't just give somebody a pass, but I do agree we should be understanding that at one point we were young. And I do believe if a youngster does something egregious and they show the willingness to change their ways, then yeah, let them on in. It's all love. But if it's a problem where that person's behavior is habitual, then at some point, we got to go in and protect the community at large. Because you can't have it both ways. You can't say you want to push the culture forward and you want the community to be strong and all of that type of stuff, but then you allow somebody over here that's within the community just because they look like you to be reckless and to be damaging to the community. You can't get it. You can't have it both ways. You either with us or you against us. You either riding with us or you're riding against us. And if you're riding against us, we can't let you be safe in our community. That's just the bottom line. If you're showing a willingness to be productive and to be on the same, to have the same agenda that we have, that we have to move our culture forward. And y'all know right, everybody know right from wrong. Now it should be noted that Kodak Black did apologize. But that was one of the most sideways apologies I've ever heard in my life. One thing that I do, if I apologize, I'm going to give a complete apologies with no buts. I'm going to give a complete apology with no buts, because but is a synonym for assholes, right? But is a synonym for asshole. So I'm not going to put a but on it. I'm just going to apologize and keep it moving. And I'm not going to invite more enemies than I have. You know, it's a very, very dangerous place out there. Unless you're tired of living, I see no need to invite enemies to yourself. So let's see what y'all saying. Robert A. says, just the thought of somebody like Kodak Black shooting his shot at a woman like Lauren London is laughable. She is too much of a woman with too much class and common sense for him. Mojo said, I can't wait for this one. We in the midst of it, baby. Let's see. Zap Ryder says, new generation don't care about shit. Who are they modeling after? And you know what? I also think that it's imperative that the youngsters who are respectful, that do got it right, especially those who have influence, and it's just not rappers who have influence. You got youngsters who are strong in the community, who people respect. And, you know, some of them are physically tough and people fear them for that. What if that youngster used that toughness for good and like spreaded that information to his peers without fear? Like, yo, man, we don't rock like that. Man, we don't disrespect elders, man. We don't do that. That's stupid. That's goofy shit. We don't do that. What if the youngsters just took it? Because I think we can get a lot further if the youngsters came on board. If the youngsters came aboard, the ones who got it, who get it, the ones who's watching this program right now, if they started being more active and more vocal about, you know, what's right, you know, the way to go, what the code of conduct is, I think a lot of times the youngsters would catch it faster, because they look, a lot of times they look at the elders like the elders have a hidden agenda. Like somehow the elders, what the elders got to say don't count. So a lot of them care more about what their peers think than anything. Like I noticed that when T.I. dropped that comment where he challenged Kodak Black to get it right, to make it right, just within 1 hour, Kodak Black had like 8,000 likes on him, on the comment that on his rebuttal. You know, he had like 8,000 likes. That's 8,000 people at least who agreed with that mentality, who agreed with exactly what he said. That's a lot of damn youngsters. And all of them may not be youngsters, may have been some older people too, but you know, there are a lot of other people out there. It's not just Kodak Black. So there's a lot of work to be done. There are people also who said that Kodak Black should have been canceled when he said that he don't he don't deal with black dark women, and he won't mix babies and all this type of stuff. See, this type of behavior is very reckless. That's the last thing we need, man. We're already at war with everybody else. I mean, everybody else is basically at war with us, really, like coming at us. We don't need to be divided amongst ourselves. Once with all the division going on, like once you divide the man and the woman, it's a wrap. We might as well just give up. Once the man and the woman divide, you can divide a lot of things. But once you divide the man and the woman in the community, it's a wrap. It's over. So you can't claim to love your community, care about your community, care about your people, if you are creating division between the sexes. That makes absolutely no sense. If you're a woman with a boy, you hate men, you're not qualified to raise that boy. You're not even qualified to raise that little girl, because it's cheating her of a genuine, pure experience where, you know, she get to a point where she don't even like men. If you're a man and you got a daughter, but you hate women, there's something wrong with you. How are you going to give her love and give her the tools that she needs to be a productive person and to have a healthy relationship when you don't have that in you? You can't give what you ain't got. Kenneth Walker, what's good? Who was that? Joe Dagger? What's up, Joe? Appreciate you. Joe Dagger. If I had a name like that, that would be my rap name. Yeah. Let's see. Trying to get to these comments, they're moving fast. So this is me trying to slow it down, trying to slow it down. Anybody got any answers to this topic? What do we do? Like, you know, and I, first of all, you know, who on here believe that Kodak Black was well within his rights? And if so, why was he well within his rights? Because I totally disagree with what he had to say. But I want to know, if you think differently, I want to know why you believe what you believe. Personally, I would never say something like that. Yeah, and you know, there are guys who out there who was, you know, thinking along those lines or whatever. But you know, I'm not one of those people. And even if I was, I would not have the gall to go public and say something like that. It's just not conducive to being. It's not conducive to dignity, the way I see it. So other people see it differently. That's why we're having a discussion right now. Jay Johnson said, that man raised himself. How would he learn decorum? That's a good point. He's gonna have to learn it through trial and error. You know, I basically raised myself and I learned decorum through trial and error. But one thing about me is that I always had the want to grow, right? I always wanted to just be a better version of myself and not make the same mistakes, right? And one of the reasons I'm still here is because, yeah, I did a lot, you know, did a lot, but I was never like a disrespectful cat. I would, now if somebody did something to me, I could be very, very, very disrespectful. But other than that, just being disrespectful on GP, just out of the gate, just saying disrespectful things and reckless, I never was that type of dude. You know, I seen dudes get killed for less. So, you know, where I come from, you know, being reckless could get you killed real quick. So it's no way possible I would have made it to this point, you know, coming from where I came from, being disrespectful. That's just, respect is a huge thing where I come from. Now, some people don't come from a place of respect. They come from a place of disrespect, and they continue that disrespect, and a lot of times they end up in short graves. You know, they end up checking out of here a whole lot sooner than they even thought they would. So that's that. Who was that? Elite. With pending rape charges, Kodak shouldn't have been seen or heard in that nature. Good point. It's a good point. Lay low, man. You know, like you got these, one thing about it, man, if you don't respect what's happening out here, you know, the ability that these people have to ride on you, the ability that they have to do some of the things they can do to you. I mean, you fight in the courts and you fight in the streets. That's really, either one of them, you know, is going to put you in a really, really bad position. But when you're fighting both, it's a it's really an uphill battle for you. And, you know, if somebody say that they really care about you, they care for you, whoever those people is, trust you me, if I was being reckless and nobody said anything about it, I probably wouldn't catch it while I'm in the midst of being reckless, But if I ended up in a jam, let's say I survived, but I'm locked up, or I'm in court or whatever, that's when I'm gonna take inventory and I'm gonna be like, damn, why y'all didn't say nothing, man? If y'all knew this, why y'all ain't say nothing? That's when I'm gonna really be mad. Some dudes ain't gonna get the opportunity to be mad because they're gonna be dead. Like, you know, I just don't think that if you're looking forward to a long, healthy life, I think you should do things that are consistent with living a long, healthy life. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, and we all got a date, we all got to die, but there are some things you can do to rush it. And I think that being disrespectful is one of the top things that you can do to rush your death, to rush your demise. What's up, Paul Mitchell? Appreciate you, homie. Okay, so hold on. Who said that? I just had a good, oh, there it is. Chocolate Woman says, why doesn't someone have a heart-to-heart with this KB person? Put him on the grown man. If he doesn't change, shun him. Don't be violent with him. I agree. I think that the first thing, I think that what happened, y'all, is that a lot of people just, because Nip just died and people are just so emotional right now, it was just absolutely it was just unbelievable that somebody would fix their mouth to say something like that. And a lot of people just lashed out, right? I think most of these dudes that were commenting or whatever, I know these dudes, these are good dudes, really. You know, ain't nobody perfect. And that's what we got to remember. Ain't nobody perfect. But for the most part, these dudes are good thinking. They're good thinkers. They're family men. But they're also, they're men. And I do believe that these guys really, really love the community and they love Nipsey Hussle. And for somebody to be disrespectful like that, you know, I think it just, you know, it really got under their skin and it provoked them to really just, you know, like snap. And so, you know, I don't think just deep down inside, you know, after really considering, probably at that moment, they were like, yeah, whatever, man, it's green light, all green light. I was green light. But, you know, give somebody time to really, really reflect. It's like, okay, you know, maybe we should approach it this way, you know, or this way or whatever. But I do agree, you know, that the best thing to do would perhaps be to try to have a conversation with Kodak. And then if he's not listening, then, you know, it's whatever after that, but at least try to have a conversation, because conversation rules the nation. And just, stopping to have a conversation with a person, a lot of times it could avoid a whole, wars have been started and prevented by, with conversation, effective communication, right? That's what it's really about, effective communication. And it's hard to settle conflict on the internet. Yeah. So let's see what y'all saying. Who is this? WG West, what up? We don't have a sit down with him, Will. Why don't you have a sit down with him, Will? You the OG fam. That's not out of the question. I don't know him personally, but I can get to know him. So that's not out of the question. Who is that? Eamon. Very important. You need to check out Mandela Effect, because you're a real dude. Please check it out. I think it's the second time somebody told me about that. I'm gonna check that out. All right, I'll check it out. Who is that? Slabtown Hero? Nah, OG, we don't let him slide too many. We didn't let him slide too many. All right, that's a consensus out there. Slabtown Hero say we didn't let him slide too many times. So okay, so who is this? What is that? Lobby Life? I don't know what that is. But anyway, says some people can't be in the group like Kodak. Anita Williams says Mandela Effect is real. Okay, I gotta check this out. I'm gonna check that out tonight. Sean Emmanuel says Kodak spoke on one of their fallen with ultimate disrespect. He violated the law of conduct, but I agree with you, but they won't think. Okay, somebody said, who was it? Junior said, anything that's earned easy is not, oh man, it went away. Well, yeah. Angela Berry says, how many men have called him and tried to talk to him? He's only acting like a lot of older so-called men. What about the men not taking care of their children, going back and forth to jail? Sad. Off topic, but you're right. Let's see, the Imperial, the trolls want attention, don't give it. So a number of people are asking me to have a talk with him. There go Angela Berry, there she is. Angela Berry says, how many men have called him and tried to talk to him? He's only acting like a lot of older. Okay, I read that one. Okay, here's Chris M says, if Kodak Black has said the same thing, but it was about a woman whose husband was alive, but these black men have the same energy towards him. Absolutely not. That's really not a good analogy, because again, like I say, this is a fallen soldier. This is a dude who was Nipsey Hussle wasn't a regular dude. Let's just get that straight, man. Like, we can talk about we can talk about life and the importance of life and everything, but let's just be real, man. Some people's lives are more significant than others. Their contribution to the world, to society, is just a lot greater than others. This is why we have people like Malcolm X and Martin and Marcus Garvey and Rosa Parks and Madame C.J. Walker, those people who stand out in history. They stand out much more than the average person because they risked much more. They did much more. So some people are just going to be, their death is going to affect a lot more people, and it's going to invoke a great amount of discussion. So that's why it trips me out when people say, well, people die every day. Well, why they don't say that? Well, why just Nipsey Hussle? Y'all know why, man. Stop acting like it don't count. Stop acting like the man ain't did something great. Nipsey Hussle was the truth. He was him being the truth and being real and all that stuff and doing all these great things don't mean he was perfect. But Nipsey Hussle had the damn blueprint. I mean, he was doing everything that we talk about what we need to do. As men, he was doing it. And there's a whole lot of dudes who wasn't doing it and who ain't doing it. So they're not going to get the same amount of credit as Nipsey Hussle, or they're not going to get the same amount of consideration as Nipsey Hussle, and they shouldn't. Gab, what's up, Gab Top Media? Who was that? Queen Jet Black? Revolutionary in a way. What's up, E Miles? Lonely Love. Let me know where y'all coming in from. What city, what state? If you're outside of the US, let me know what country you're repping. DJ Gemini 504. What's up, Jay Johnson? Appreciate you. Axel Foley. Who was that? Waco, Texas. Man, what up? Mobile, Alabama, Brooklyn in the building. What's up, Beautiful Forever? San Antonio in the house, Harlem in the building. We got Ohio checking in, Chicago, Maurice Mitchell. What's up, Maurice? T. Smith, Killeen, Texas in the house. If you're just checking in, this is the first installment of the family meeting. We have discussions about life, situations and circumstances that affect us in our community. So this is a Q&A style discussion. You get to come in, and if you got some solutions, I'm very, very much solution oriented. So if you got solutions, I would like to hear some solutions. I haven't heard not one person dropped a solution yet. Those are the type of comments that I'm very much interested in reading. What is the solution? We know that there's a lot of disrespect out there. We know that the generation before did not do a very good job in making sure that respect was maintained. So how do we get it back? Y'all let me know. Little Rock, Arkansas, Joe Vance. What's up, Joe? Greg Yance, Chicago in the building. Got a Vance and a Yance back to back. Ain't that something? What's up, Frankie D? I will. Thank you. For sure. G Rock, I see you South Central LA in the building. My condolences, man. Appreciate you. Sean Emmanuel says, make examples. That's a solution. That's a solution on all fronts, in my opinion. You know, not just what's going on in, you know, inside our community, but outside the community. People that violate from the outside, they got to be made an example of. That'll stop all of that. That'll stop that. Chocolate DC. Chocolate Woman DC. Andrew Finch, Longview, Texas in the building. Yeah, my little small towns. What's up? Okay, so Queen of Attraction says, a child has to be a child. Too many women had young men thinking they were men of the house when they were too young to make adult decisions. So Queen of Attraction trying to tell women, stop having these young babies. Stop having these babies when you're young. And same thing go to the men that are having babies while they boys, you know, too young, don't understand. Grown folks don't tell you to not have sex because sex don't feel good. It's not a good thing. They tell you not to have sex when you're too young because, or they try to tell you to hold out as long as you can because they know that the older you get, the better your chances are with dealing with the consequences of your actions when having sex. And that means whether it be you produce a baby, whether you have heartbreak involved, you know, whether you know how to cope with decision making and all of that type of stuff. So older people understand that there is a lot of things that come with having sex. This is why they warn youngsters of having sex, you know, too young. Not because it don't feel good. Don Dillinger, Florida, with the exception of Miami, is pretty much a free enterprise as far as the street go. There really is no structure and codes. Anybody can be the man. Kodak's OGs are only 2 or 3 years older no respect. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, when it comes to a lot of the people that are around, a lot of these young dudes that got money, a lot of these dudes, they don't speak up. The so-called OGs, they won't speak up because the youngster got more money than they got. And they see the youngster doing a lot of reckless things, but they can't tell him nothing, or they're afraid to tell him something because they feel like the youngster is going to alienate himself from them. You know? They feel like the youngster is going to isolate themselves and they're going to alienate them. You know, so it's like a lot of these guys are just trying to get a check. So they won't say anything. You know, and that's crazy. You got to think about it. You're 40 years old and some 20-year-old dude, 25-year-old dude, you know, got enough money to, you know, to pay all of your yearly bills 100 times. You can pay your bills 100 times. And he's a 25-year-old is responsible for your lifestyle. You know, responsible for you paying your rent, You know, what's the risk if you really tell him what he needs to know? A lot of people that got a bunch of money, man, they don't want to, not just people with money, but people, period. I just noticed a lot of people just don't want to be around somebody who would love them enough to correct them, tell them when they're wrong. They usually like to be around people who agree with everything that they do and who just cool with it, or at least won't critique them. Now, of course, I ain't no pain freak. I don't want to be around somebody who every damn time I do something, they got something to say about it. I don't want to be around that person. But, you pick and choose. You pick and choose your battles. Every now and then, some things, somebody speak on, especially if a person don't hardly tell you, talk to you about certain things, and a person don't typically critique you, and they speak on it, it's probably coming from a place of love. So I would at least listen to what that person have to say. Let's see. What's up, DJ Snappy? He says, create a website that supports Black-owned businesses and protest ignorance, even if they are Black. That's a good idea. It's a few websites out there that support Black-owned businesses already, but there's always room for more. So yeah, good idea. Let's see. Jamond, Kodak Black got caught having a private convo in a public setting because he went live on Instagram with his boys. That should have been a big no-no. So Jamond thinks that this was a private conversation in a public setting. Yeah, if you're gonna have that kind of conversation, I guess, probably shouldn't go public with it. Hood Mistress Reloaded says, we need more brothers and sisters in business and real estate so we can build up our communities. To the ones already doing it, much love to you. Yeah, much love to the ones that's already doing it, like Nip was doing it. Like my boy, Judge Joe Stevens, H-Town's own. He's out here doing it. He just showed me his design for a shopping center. Yeah, so this is not an idea. This is not a something that he's hoping to do. It's not a dream or fantasy. This is something he's actually doing. So big shout out to Judge Joe Stevens, H-Town's own. This is a brother that's been doing it for a long time, that's been giving back for a long time, that's been putting in work for a long time. So it's not just people with a whole bunch of celebrity and money like that, he started, from scratch. So some people think, well, I can only do that I'm a celebrity. No, man, we got a lot of people out there who may not be celebrities, but they got a little something to work with, and they start building. And many of them have built empires. You know, they're millionaires, starting from scratch. You got to start somewhere. Let's see. Somebody said black schools are the answer. I didn't see the name of the person. Liv says we want gold, we want oil, gold, and God. Simple as that. Micah Johnson, boxing, talk, and more. Are you watching? Off topic, homie. I get on it though. T-Mac says Kodak might be getting passes outside of LA, but in LA, I think it's not safe for him. I'm not wishing him harm, but LA people have a different culture that won't tolerate that BS. You want me to block USA? Who is USA? Block USA. I need some new moderators also. I need more moderators. So if you want to be a moderator, send me, let me know just right now. Tell me you want to be a moderator. And I'm gonna check you out. And if it's all good, we'll smash the gas. Yeah, y'all gotta help me keep these trolls off the platform. Things go a lot more smoother without the trolls. So here's the deal, y'all. Like if I do a topic on here and you don't agree with it, stay your ass off the platform. It's pretty simple. We don't need your ass to come on the platform and say, y'all need to talk about something else. Take your ass somewhere else. You know, like the topics, the discussion, the platform is for the people who want it, who receiving it. If you don't want it, you don't want to receive it, take your dusty ass somewhere else, because we're not changing for you. All right, Drew Pope, I see you. Don Quantum says, some of these youngsters need to be trained on what to say, how to say shit, and how to fix it. Yeah. I think what happens though, man, a lot of times when you get online, you know, you have people all prideful and stuff, and once somebody get online and say something about somebody else, you know, and if they come at them real strong or whatever, a person feel compelled to go back at them. And then, you know, you got a back and forth thing going on. And next thing you know, somebody getting their head knocked off. Yeah, that's how that go. See, we got Sean.
Hey, what's up, my brother?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have Charlemagne the God on the line right now.
What's up, my brother?
Man, you got it, bro. You got it. All right, so for y'all who don't know, along with Angela Yee and DJ Envy, Charlemagne is 1/3 of the world famous Breakfast Club morning show, hottest morning show on the planet. And he's easily one of the most important voices of our generations. He's also known to have a penchant for being a bit disrespectful if you find yourself in the unlucky position of being donkey of the day. So who better to have on a show like this where we're talking about the lack of respect and decorum in our community than Charlemagne the God. Man, I heard your take on the Breakfast Club this morning, and I was like, damn, he nailed it. He nailed it, man. First of all, welcome to the show, but man, you nailed it, bro. Like,
thank you, brother. That means a lot coming from you.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. I want, one of the things that that stuck out, man, you said, you was talking about how, you cool with all that. We're gonna ban Kodak Black. Oh, that's good, but I just, I'm cool with that. But let's be consistent with what we tolerate in our culture. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just simply about, a lot of times in our culture, man, it's not about what's right, it's about what's popular, who's popular. And it's easy to say, okay, I'm gonna ban Kodak Black, but if we're being honest, Kodak Black got one record on the radio, and that's the ZZ record. Before that, Tunnel Vision might have been on the radio. Kodak Black don't even get radio play like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to say, hey, I'm gonna ban Kodak Black, you're not really making a stand. You honestly kind of just, you kind of just clout chasing a little bit, but I'm not upset at anybody on how they choose to react. But I'm just like, man, if you upset at Kodak Black because he disrespected a woman, we got to be consistent all across the board with that, because man, we all know in our culture, and me included, we have all disrespected women in some way, shape, or form. Like 90% of the music that was popular is degrading women in some way, shape, or form. So I just want to see more consistency all across the board. Because if we are at the place in hip hop where we are, checking brothers, disrespecting women, I'm all for that. Mm-hmm. If we're not tolerating no more, I'm definitely all for that. I just want to be consistent all across the board, man. I don't see that at all. Like I mean, you say you ban Kodak, but then you go play a record tomorrow talking about some dude putting his fist up a girl's ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so,
right.
So what's the difference?
So the selective morality is what you got a problem with.
The selective morality is what I got a problem with. And listen, I get the fact that the good brother Nipsey Hussle is deceased, and it's a very sensitive time right now. And Kodak, man, Kodak is the young 21-year-old disrespectful dude. You know what I'm saying? He don't have no home training. He don't have no morals. Some of his OGs need to just snatch him up and have a conversation with him. But a lot of that's going to come with growth. Because if you think about it, Brother Willie, if you look at the people that we love in our culture now, mm-hmm. Man, you remember what Gucci Mane was like when he first was coming out?
Right.
Think about how wild Gucci Mane was. Think about how wild T.I. was. But all these brothers have grown and they've evolved, Mm-hmm. We're not giving them young brothers that chance to evolve because we're too busy trying to cancel people instead of canceling behavior. You know what I'm saying? We need to be canceling behavior, not people.
Okay, so that's a good segue to my question here is, so that no generation was perfect and all generations made mistakes. So we all have some type of cross the barrier in the behavior of the now generation, right? So with that being said, how do we get to a point to where people start to be held accountable for their actions, because right now, every time somebody young does something foolish, somebody makes the argument, well, y'all did it, well, y'all did this and that, and they grew up on that music and this or whatever, whatever. And it's almost like that's enough to give that person a pass or an excuse to continue that behavior. And so there's no accountability. And a lot of times you hear people saying stuff like, man, you even hear the youngsters saying, man, I'm just young, man, I'm young. It's almost like being young is an excuse for being foolish or being disrespectful. So at what point do we say, yeah, this happened, we did this or we did that, but at the end of the day, there's a certain code of conduct, and if we ain't never enforced it back then, we finna start enforcing it now. And do we get to a point to where we're justified in enforcing a code of conduct?
I think everybody's justified. I think T.I. was justified in coming at Kodak. I think the game was justified in coming at Kodak. But my thing is this, man. It's like, yo, people do have to learn on their own. Like, you know, we all had to learn on our own. Like, some people gotta hit their head a couple of times before they realize, like, damn, you know, I am messing up. And I think the good thing about social media does hold people accountable. But what I don't like is when I see the OGs, you know, stooping to the level of the young boys, meaning that don't get on social media with that, because you already know what that's gonna turn into. It's like high school. You might say something to me in front of a group of people in high school, and it's the lightest thing in the world, but we might end up fist fighting. But if you was to say that to me when it was just us two together, I would probably receive it different. I really truly feel if they would have just picked up the phone, called Kodak, held him accountable, and held him accountable, you know, person to person, he'd have understood it better. You know why he'd have understood it better? Because he'd have saw all that backlash on social media. Now that's the one good thing about social media. Social media lets you know in real time when you done fucked up. You know, so let all of those people, you know, let the court of public opinion go off on his ass, and let some of the OGs just call him behind the scenes and say, hey man, you was out of pocket, you was out of line. I think Kodak would have got on that Instagram yesterday and gave that same apology in a more genuine way if they'd have pulled up behind the scenes and called them. You know, but I get it. You know, if somebody disrespects publicly, then hey, maybe they need to be held accountable publicly. You know, but I just want people to know the same way when you was young, you didn't learn right away. Like you said, none of us was perfect. You know, it takes time for people to grow. It takes time for people to know. Like, we might hate Kodak like now and love him in 15 years because he's a totally different person.
Yeah. But what do you say to the people that say that Kodak Black should have been canceled because of his statements about Black women? You know, he was saying things like, you know, I don't want to have no babies with dark bitches. He actually used the word bitches. And I don't, you know, I want mixed babies and this or whatever. Is that the type of thing that somebody can say where you look at it and you say, okay, that's it, man, right there. Is that egregious enough, that statement right there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, if Kodak Black said something like that, guess what you're doing? You're turning off all the dark-skinned women. You're turning off all the dark-skinned people. You're turning off everybody that loves dark-skinned women and dark-skinned people. So if you make that kind of statement, you got to hold that. But it's always going to be an audience or an individual. I've heard Kodak say way more egregious stuff than what he said. He actually, you know, when you listen to what he was actually saying, you know, about the sister Lauren London, he wasn't saying, he didn't say like, oh, I want to sleep with her or anything like that. He was just saying, man, I want to be a better person. Hopefully I get my stuff up in my community and maybe she want to be with me. Now, was it disrespectful? Absolutely, it was disrespectful. The brother Nipsey not even around yet. You know, it wasn't like, oh, it's not like you said, Nipsey, you know, everybody. He didn't say nothing like that.
Man,
you know what I mean?
But can you imagine what would have happened if somebody like Muhammad Ali or anybody that was prominent back in the 60s would have said something like, man, you know, Coretta need to come holler at me now that Martin did. You know, she need to come out, she needs to come holler at me. Can you imagine what would have happened to that person? If somebody would have said, Betty need to come holler at me, she grieving, I'm gonna give her a year to grieve, and then I'm gonna shoot my shot. Can you imagine what would have happened?
I'm not making no excuses for Kodak Black. Whatever Kodak Black did from what he said, he absolutely deserved. I think it was foul. I think it was disrespectful. And Kodak represents for a million dirtbags and filthy niggas that got that mindset right now. You know what I'm saying? They're not thinking about the fact that it's a family that just lost a son, a family that just lost a father. You know what I'm saying? A community that just lost a good man. He's not thinking about that. Look what his mind is. His mind is, oh man, I'm trying to get this girl. But guess what? You got filthy out there like that. You know what I'm saying? So whatever consequences he has for making that statement, he earned that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he earned that wholeheartedly. I'm not making no excuses for him whatsoever. All I'm simply saying is he said a lot of egregious stuff before. And I didn't see this kind of outrage. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe that's the thing that other people are having a problem with. Like those other things wasn't egregious enough. You know? Like yeah.
Now he was harassing young lady 2 weeks ago, like literally harassing her. Yeah. You're telling a lesbian woman, man, why you don't want to be penetrated? You know, like that's egregious. You know, it's like I always say it's not about what's right, it's about what's popular. You know what I'm saying? The brother Nipsey is the trending topic right now. And I ain't gonna front, it hurts in a different way. Like that, I'm traumatized by what happened to Nipsey. I'm not even gonna tell you no lie. You know why I'm traumatized? Because I knew the brother, and he was a great brother. I mean, like a super solid all the way around, not a flaw on him. And somebody sent me the video, and I don't never look at none of those videos. I don't look at none of the police videos. I don't like seeing stuff like that. Somebody sent me the video, I didn't know what it was, and I watched it. I could not get the image of that dude kicking the brother Nipsey. He shot him. That was the most hateful thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. I understand why him making that statement have everybody ready to take his head off. And right now, people are angry. Yeah. That's the truth of the matter. People are angry. They're looking for a place from this anger. They're in pain right now. People are in trauma. They're looking for ways to redistribute that pain. And Kodak Black put himself on the line of fire. You know? Which he didn't have to do.
Yeah, I saw that video myself. My buddy tried to send it to me. And in fact, he sent it to me and he told me what it was. And I said, man, I don't want to watch that shit. Man, I'm not going to watch that because I was like, I knew I was not going to be able to sleep at all if I watched that. And I was like, and I still wasn't able to sleep, just knowing that he was dead, he wasn't with us anymore. It blew my mind. It really hurt, man. It really hurt.
It hurt now. And that's the other thing too. Like when I look at somebody like Kodak, he didn't know Nipsey. You know what I'm saying? Because well, first of all, even if you didn't know the brother, you shouldn't be talking like that. But if you knew that brother, you would not be talking like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like you just wouldn't be talking like that. But I just think, man, and maybe it's just me. I just think we ask for too much from guys like Kodak. Kodak, 21 years old, and he's from Florida. So that means you're really 12. You know what I'm saying? He's not mentally where he should be for us to even be entertaining things that come out of his mouth. But you still got to be held accountable for the things that come out your mouth.
Right. I believe that. At the end of the day, accountability, man, it goes a long ways. I think you can keep yourself out of knowing that you hold yourself accountable and understanding that for those actions there are consequences. I think you can keep yourself out of a whole lot of trouble that way.
And that's all I want us to do as a culture, man. We just gotta hold each other accountable. Listen, I love if we holding people accountable. I love if we not tolerating certain things anymore. But we just gotta be consistent all across the board. And we gotta start asking ourselves, what are the punishments? You know, like what are the consequences? You know, are the consequences the fact that we're not gonna support certain people anymore? You know, like, cause just getting on Instagram or getting on Twitter and saying, oh, such and such is canceled, such and such is canceled. What does that even mean? I haven't seen nobody they canceled really canceled yet. Everybody that I see, they try to cancel shows. They shows be sold out.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I'm like, who's canceled? It's
Mm-hmm.
like even R. Kelly discussed the masses still canceled. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and by the way, that's somebody that really needs to be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's just like I just think that we all got to hold each other accountable, man, and we just need, you know, more consistency as a culture all across the board. I just feel like it's a lot of selective morality, man. Like I said numerous times, it's not about what's right most of the time, it's about what's popular.
Right.
You know, because if Kodak was a bigger artist, if Kodak was a way bigger artist, man, Ray Up this wouldn't even be thinking about banning this.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't even think about it.
Wow. Kodak Black. I'm over here just stunned. I was just playing back in my mind exactly what he said, and thinking about just the consequences of, you know, just putting yourself out there like that. I consider myself a very brave person, but I think that don't have anything to do with being brave, you know, to put yourself in the line of fire unnecessarily. Like we all have enemies that are unknown, you know, and just, you know, I'm not in the business of trying to create any more enemies that I don't even, you know, not in the business of just creating enemies when I have unknown enemies. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Like man, I'm with you 110%. But once again, I just think I don't think you know what he be saying. I really don't. I really think that, you know, you just got to be. I mean, I guess you could say be patient with those, not what he do, but I just don't think he know what he be saying. I honestly don't. I think he just be on Instagram rambling, like 95% of these kids be doing, and then saying things that they regret later. But guess what? Once you say it and it's on social media, it's out there forever, and now it lives forever. And now you done made people feel a certain way. Because I guarantee you, more people saw what he said about Lauren. They didn't see his apology.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So when they see him, they're gonna hold him accountable for what he said about Lauren.
Well, you know, a lot of people who heard the apology. I talked to a lot of cats, you know, in LA, and the cats that I talked to was like, you know, he gave a half-ass apology, number one, to Lauren, but they didn't feel like the what he said about Nip was respectful. He didn't apologize in a respectful manner to Nip, and he said they was like beyond that. He was like it was almost like he was inviting smoke to everybody else who had a problem with what he said. And there's a lot of people who had a problem with what he said, like all over the country. There's people who had a serious problem with what he said. And I'm talking about not just in LA, I'm talking about the homies in Chicago. I'm talking about the homies in Miami. I'm talking about the homies in New York, Texas. I'm talking about a lot of dudes had a problem with what he said. I mean, a serious, like, major violation problem with what he said.
I thought it was a major violation too. And, you know, like watching him do his apology and say what he said, like I said during Don't Get It Day, that was just ego. And the reason that was just ego, because he felt like he was being challenged. And, you know, like men, we do have fragile ego. And, you know, when we think we being challenged, well, a lot of us got the tendency to stick our chest out and want to show that we tough. And he needed to realize now ain't the time to show that he's tough. Now is the time to show that, yes, I was wrong, and I know I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know, but when he saw T.I. go at him, and we saw the game go at him, he want to prove he not no punk. And that's another thing we need to start stressing our coach, man, because coaching really makes you feel like you always right. Nobody ever wants to apologize. Nobody ever wants to say that they're wrong. Nobody wants to ever say, hey man, I made a mistake. You know, sometimes we gotta just humble ourselves and say that. And guess what? What a public opinion has to accept that sometimes. Everybody is wrong. And a lot of the time, everybody is, you know, everybody does make a mistake most of the time. So it's like, he said what he said. It was terrible. By the way, I said people want to hold him accountable for it. They still like they want to hold him accountable. That's on him. We all are responsible for the energy that we put out.
Right.
You know, and he put a certain kind of energy out there. and he's gonna get certain kind of energy back. Listen, nobody. Hey, I don't know about you, Willie D, but when I was 21 years old, wasn't nobody cutting me no slack.
Right.
Them OGs would punch me in my mouth, go upside my head, do what they had to do. When I was talking what I was talking, and see, that's the other thing. I grew up in an era where there was consequences for your words. You know what I'm saying? There's consequences for your actions. I don't think a lot of these kids nowadays they have that. You know, I don't want to see nobody get killed. That's another thing I didn't like. I saw people online saying, you know, they Kodak black, you know, and bring back Nipsey. I don't want to see no black man taken away from their family. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see no black man not breathing before it's not their time. You know?
Right.
So I don't agree with any of that either. But hey, if people feel like he need to be disciplined in some way, then that's on him. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what energy gonna come back to him because of what he said. But whatever it is, he gotta hold that because he put it out there.
And there it is, y'all. Charlemagne the God dropped another. Dropped another jewel on us, man. The dude is just, again, y'all, when I say that he's one of the most important voices of our time, like I'm not playing, this is not no smoke. This dude is the real deal, and that's why I support everything that he do. And I know bigger than that, man, he loved the culture. He loved the people for real. So I salute you, man. I appreciate you for coming on.
Well, thank you, my brother. Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle, man.
For sure. R.I.P. Nip.
Yes, sir.
No more talk. Yeah. So there y'all have it, man. Charlemagne always got an interesting take on situations. Charlemagne is a deep thinker. You know, he ain't just no average dude. You know, I know he joke from time to time on the Breakfast Club or whatever, but that's just more so like part of the job description. But the dude is A1. You know, how he conduct himself in interviews, you know, outside of the Breakfast Club and stuff, man, he represents real strong, and that's a voice that's very much needed. So I think me and Charlemagne on the same, we're on the same plane here, whereas we both believe that Kodak Black, it needs to be a conversation first and foremost to try to get an understanding. And if it can't be an understanding, then it's not an understanding. Then, you know, that's what it is. But I think that, you know, I wouldn't really want to see the dude. I would just really want to just be cool with dude, something happening to dude. But we do got to get on code. And that code got to be respected. And when people violate that code, then they need to have to deal with those consequences. It ain't about what somebody who might have done this or did this or what music they listened to growing up or who their mama was or who their daddy was. Man, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing when you do what you do. Your actions, you're gonna have to be responsible for it. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to be responsible for those actions. So you wanna try to move in a way where you limit your exposure to danger. Let me see what y'all saying. Nipsey was God. We don't funk over no females in the West. It's about disrespecting Nip. Yeah. Real Griffin, we need unity in the Black community, just like how the Hasidic Jewish community has unity. We need that as well. Don Dillinger, some situations are lost. Kodak's OGs are only 2 or 3 years older. Yeah, I read that one. Let's see. DJ Tommy Brown want to nominate me for ambassador for hip hop. Appreciate that, homie. think Chuck D and Ice Cube and Scarface and T.I. and, you know, it's just so many people, man. So many guys out there might have a little something to say about that. Let's see. Joe Dagger said, we stand behind Kodak is not apologizing. If they won't smoke, we ready. Too much talking, no more talk. They won't smoke. That's the thing about that, man. You know, like, who really want to smoke? Like, I mean, who really gonna gas this man up? See, we gotta be very careful about allowing people to gas us up. Because people be like, yeah. Same thing with Biggie and Pac. I was there. Yeah. Get him, man. Fuck this, all that other stuff. But then when the killers came, who died? Pac and Biggie. You know, and a couple of their soldiers were killed. But mainly, you know, you end up dead. And everybody else just gone about their business and they just find somebody else to gas up. See, I ain't gonna let nobody stick no key in my back and turn it and wind me up, you know, wind me up to go out there and be on a crash dummy mission. I'm gonna fall back. You want me to? No, you do it. I'm too smart for that. Yeah, well, somebody asked me, do I think Kodak will grow on this, grow out of this? I'm not sure, man. You know, I'm not sure. Like, Kodak is speaking very reckless. Like, you know, I don't really recall somebody of prominence being that reckless with their tongue. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a matter of him wanting to do it. I think anything is possible. If he wanted to, he could. But if he don't want to, then he ain't got to. And you know, if he okay with what come after that, then I guess that's what it is, because it's no way possible anybody can continue being reckless and disrespectful and harm not come their way. That's impossible, because everybody not playing. So I don't know. I feel like that we can't just keep making up excuses for those who are a detriment to the community. You know, we know that people out there, certain people wasn't given the best examples. But at what point do we say enough is enough? At what point do we start holding people accountable? At what point do we get on code? Or do we just say, because everything was so jacked up in the past, everything we just resign to everything being jacked up in the future? Or do we try to make some type of efforts to correct the wrongs of the past and get on code? I say we got to get on code. You know, at what point does the killer who killed our people not get a pass? At what point does the bully in the neighborhood, the rapist, the gangbanger, who's preying on the Black community, realize that it ain't sweet no more? At what point do we let them know it ain't sweet no more? Or do we just keep letting them slide because they didn't have a good upbringing? Because we don't want to feel guilty because we played some role and we didn't set a good example for them. So we don't want to be looked at as a hypocrite. So we just fall back and just watch the youth self-destruct. That's not me. I'm willing to risk it. I'm willing to step out there and speak on it. I'm willing to help the ones that I can. Can't help everybody. Everybody don't want the help. I get it. But the ones that want the help, I got some information for them. I'm willing to help. The other ones, I can't do nothing for. You know, some of them think they got it all figured out. They don't want no help. So what do you do about that? Nothing. Marco Day says, no person is untouchable. Kodak should stop now. It's some things you can just see happening from a mile away. Some bad moves people make, you can see it happening from a mile away, and you know what the outcome is going to be. What's up, Chemical? Florida holds its own, G-Check. Florida holds its own, G-Check Kodak. What's up, Tiffany Real? I appreciate you, thanks. I need moderators, y'all. I need more moderators. So if you want to be a moderator, let me know. I'm gonna come back through here and click on your profile and give you access to moderate. So that way, when you see these trolls leaving comments, you can delete the, you can see it while I'm taking care of business over here. You might be able to see something that I don't see, and you can delete them and block them and erase the message for me. Now, y'all remember what happened with 6ix9ine being reckless, talking reckless. And you see what's happening with him right now. So there's only two places, you know, for somebody that's very disrespectful, that's blatantly disrespectful. Jail and the cemetery. That's automatic. It ain't even it's not even a question. It's not even something, you know, all you gotta do is just keep on. And that's what's gonna happen. So I would love to see dudes switch it up. I would love to see Kodak switch it up, and he'd be one of those dudes that we can look at as an example for other cats that are out there on the fringe, the other ones that's out there that's being reckless, and we can hold Kodak up as somebody that we can say, look, and Kodak can be like, look, man, because they might listen to Kodak before they listen to me. Kodak said, because they know how Kodak used to be. So Kodak speak on it, they might respect it more. So I'm with talking to the brother. I'm with trying to get understanding. We can use Kodak. We can use a Kodak Black, a reformed Kodak Black. We can use that dude. So I would love to see him get his shit together. I would love to see that. And then he reach out to the other young brothers and let them know what's going on, because he got more power than he even realized. He understands that he understands that he has fame and he has fans, but I don't think he understands his power. And when you have power, you can use it for good or evil. And I just don't think right now he's using his power for good. When he figure that part out and start using his power for good, he's going to be unstoppable, especially if he continues on the trajectory that he has now in terms of success. He'll be unstoppable. I would love to see that happen. Yeah. So any of y'all out there that know Kodak personally, y'all know his people, tell them to hit me up. Hit my inbox, mail at willied.com, mail at willied.com, or hit me on Instagram, Willie D Live. And, you know, let's try to have a conversation. I'm with it. What's up, Derek Stewart? Florida stand up, real man stand up. Big Flo. Big Flo says he lacks intelligence. I think he lacks more than intelligence, man. I think that I think it's more so just I think he lacks decorum, more so, tact, insight. I think he has a certain amount of a certain degree of intelligence. I mean, the dude ain't dumb as some people think, you know. Yeah, in fact, I don't think he's like just, I don't think he's no dumb dude, you know. Jules Circus, at one point do we stop saying, I'm young, I'm still learning? While that can be true, some things are basic morals. True story. True story. That's what I was saying a little earlier. You know, at what point do we stop using youth as an excuse? Because I never used that as an excuse. Some people chalked it up to youth, but I didn't. I never did, because I understood early on that I saw people my age getting killed early on. You know, I saw my first man get killed when I was 5. So, and one of my best friends got killed when he was 13. So I saw death up close and in person early on, and nobody asked questions. Nobody said, wait a minute, you can't kill him. He's just 13 years old. He's only in the 7th grade. Nobody cared. It's like, you do this, this was gonna happen. You know, you break into these people's house, they're gonna probably track you down, catch you on the street, gun you down, and then get in the car and run over you, which is what happened to one of my buddies, 13 years old, had just cut my hair, walked out of the door, and 5 minutes later, somebody said, man, such, dead, just like that. You know, everybody is not going to consider your age, you know, get back, pay back. Don't consider age. You just get what you get. Just like drugs, if you abuse drugs, like you start like abusing drugs, shooting up, snorting, whatever you're doing, the drug is not going to tell you, wait a minute, I can't kill you because you're only 13, you're only 10, you're only 15, you're only 19, you're only 21. I cannot take you out. I have to let you live a little longer. The drug do not discriminate. The drug is going to take you out just like it would a person who was seasoned, 40 years old, 50 years old, 35. The drug is going to take you out. The drug is not going to ask questions and say, wait a minute, how old are you again? Wait a minute, I can't do that to you. You're too young. You're just starting to live your life. I can't take you out. The drug is going to take you out too. So we got to stop leaning on this youth thing for a crutch. Because everybody and everything is not going to consider your age before it does what it does. I know for a fact those judges don't give a damn. According to Chris, Willie D, the G's in Florida need to hold a public conference with Kodak. Backpack says if they looking up to him, we in trouble. Well, we in trouble, bro, because they are looking up to him. You got to keep in mind, he got a lot of fans. Some people are just fans because they like the music, but some people are looking up to him. And they look for him, they look at him for guidance. And if he take them down this path, that's the path they're gonna go. If they hear Kodak Black says, I don't mess with dark-skinned bitches, fuck them, they are going to go that way if they look up to him. If he's being reckless and he's being disrespectful of a dead man's widow, and they look up to him, well, guess what? They'll probably do the same thing. They'll probably say the same thing. So we can't just discount because we don't like Kodak or we're not a fan of his music or whatever. We can't just act like he doesn't count. We can't act like he's not relevant. He's not influential. He is. He's all of that. And so that's why what he said was of such an emergency to so many people, because they understand the power that he has. And that's why they say too much is given, much is required. He's not just some old dude running his mouth. You know, he's a guy with a huge platform, a lot of influence, a lot of followers. And we can't afford to have people in our community that are being counterproductive. We just can't do, we can't do it. We've suffered too much. And if we're not going to, like if Kodak Black was white, y'all know what it'd be. You know, it probably would be way worse. So how do we give somebody a pass just because they look like us, if they're causing the same amount of damage, if not more damage? You know, how do we excuse that? I say we don't. See, no morals. Alice Henderson, he needs to grow up. Fred Etoy says, what up? Hot Jerko, pray for the brother. Malcolm Mano says, Kodak said he didn't respect old heads anyway. If he keep living, he will get old. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. See, I don't understand it by myself, because we didn't get a lot of participation from the elders when I was growing up. I mean, the elders wasn't like there for me, but I had enough sense to still not disrespect them. I just think once you get to a point to where you disrespect the elders, and you get to a point to where you have a gender war, the men are against the women, the girls are against the boys. No society can be viable, can be productive with that type of mindset. That shit don't work. We ain't got no choice but to get along. If we want to be progressive, if we want to advance, if we want to do better, we have no choice but to get along. This is what I just don't understand about people. Like, whatever you've been doing ain't been working, right? So if you're doing something and it don't work, try something else. And perhaps you stand a better chance, right? I mean, does that make sense? Anonymous, he should have been checked and counseled a long time ago. For instance, when he talked about dark-skinned women, had a rape case, young MA, why did his cancellation take this long? Who is that? Sudoku says, Kodak Black does not get a free pass. Sharia law needs to come for Kodak Black. Jacob Johnson says, it's time for the Black community to stay on code at all times and not just when it's convenient. All right, Roland Markland says, character. J. Cole said it best. He lacks guidance, ain't no OGs in his circle. Sean Ruger. Lucifer says, what up, huh? Alona James, he won't do an interview because he doesn't have the balls. Who is this, M University? It's very possible Kodak may be hard, but a lot of young are looking for the help. Yeah, John Perry, only so many times Death swings his battle axe and miss. Huh. Christopher Clipper says his father wasn't home to give him game. Nubian Kempo, demonic possessed. Real Griffin wants to be a moderator. We'll look into that. Wave Catcher says, I think he could care less about nobody but himself. Terry Miles says, Florida in the building. All these fake woke people. JJ Jr. says he don't lack anything. He just has no chill. Mike Johnson. Hey, where y'all coming in from, man? Y'all dropping the ball on letting me know where you're coming in from. What city, what state? If you're outside of the US, what country are you coming in from? I need to know these things, man, so I can know who I'm talking to and what you're repping. Like, let me know that and then drop your comment. Okay, M.A. Al says, times have changed. It's easier to stay immature longer into your 20s. Damn. Wow. Mark Bush says sometimes you just got to read these Nikes. Chris Manu says he's not dumb. That's what makes it so bad. That's what makes it so bad. He says he's not dumb. That's what makes it so bad. Joshua Mowdy says, cut my hair one day, left the house and got sprayed. Yeah. Know them. That's them lyrics. Appreciate you, Joshua. That's real right there. He quoted my lyrics when I was just telling y'all about my buddy that got killed. Cut my hair. That was, what song was this? What song was that? Die right away, nothing to say. Leaning on you, man. Cut my hair one day, left my crib and got sprayed and expired right away. Nothing to say. That sad chapter around here. Either you get killed or you get captured. Sister girl, I ain't know what you was dealing with. Pointed the finger at you. Now I'm feeling like an idiot, but I'm wiser now. And I've seen the world. It's messed up how they treat us ghetto boys and girls. The doctors tried to resuscitate, it was too late. I got a daughter named Kane and a son named Blake, and they be asking about you all the time. I try to be a better man. Sometimes I fall behind. So if you feel some extra weight on you, don't be alarmed. Don't move, don't flee. That's me, leaning on you. What it? Y'all see that? I got a daughter named Kane and a son named Blake. You did? Let me see, what were they on here? I think Blake was about, looks like Kane is about 4. No, Kane is about 5. And Blake is like, maybe like 8 months, 9 months here. Yeah. Yeah, y'all. Get back to y'all comments. Let me see what y'all saying. What's the solution, y'all? Give me some solutions on this disrespect. What do? We can't not do anything, right? We gotta do something. Fatima says he's slow, he won't get it. Don Blacker says, 21 ain't young if you're from the streets. You're grown by the time you're 16 or 17. See, I disagree with that, dog, because Reason why I disagree with that, because I was still very much a hothead in my 20s. I used to jump off stage. Like if somebody did something disrespectful doing a concert or whatever, I'd jump off stage and whoop them. I'd beat up the sound man, rob the promoter who tried to shortchange us. Promoter act like he have all our money. So I, lay it down, man. So just wasn't thinking things all the way through. I was just like, somebody do this, I do this. Like they push a button, I just automatically boop. So I didn't get the real maturity until I got like in my late 20s. That's when that really came. That's why, if you really think about it, most people from the streets, most dudes from the streets, they get killed in their teens and 20s. If you can make it to 30, usually you can live your life out and you die of anything but street violence, right? I saw that, I paid attention to that when I was in my teens. I could see that, but I just wasn't disciplined enough to carry it through until I got in my late 20s. But I do notice that if a dude from the streets can get to 30, can make it to 30, he usually don't die of gun violence. So all you gotta do is just start paying attention or think about the people that you know from the streets and how old they were when they died of gun violence, or they died of getting stabbed or whatever. Most people are gonna end up dead in their teens and 20s because they're reckless and they think that they're invincible. And this is why so many young people end up dead who are from the streets, because they just don't have a sense of effective communication, and they don't have good conflict resolution skills. And oftentimes, I think it has something to do with also they don't have a true sense of responsibility. Guys get in their late 20s, 30s and stuff, man, they start talking about, maybe they've been to jail already or something, they realize that ain't it. Man, let me get me a square job or something, man, or let me get on this thing and do my thing, become an entrepreneur and leave this stuff alone, because this ain't the life right here, this ain't it. So that's what happens oftentimes. That's why, you can get to that 30. A lot of times guys have slowed down, They don't hang out at the same kind of spots. They don't go to places where they know it's gonna be a bunch of drama. They don't go to those type of places. They going somewhere where there ain't gonna be no trouble, ain't no fighting, ain't nobody acting a fool. A lot of times you get to be that age, you don't want to be nowhere around no teenagers, you don't want to be around no little young 20-year-olds, you don't want to be around them dudes, because a lot of them dudes take their lives for granted and they think they're invincible until they're laying on that concrete, looking up, and their eyes are flickering. The eyelids are flickering and the eyes are rolling around just uncontrollably. They don't get it. City King says he lives in California now. He's not in Florida anymore. Well, it don't matter where you live at. You still got to move around. On top of everything, he's an artist. So you got to move around to get his money. So, when you're an artist, you don't live in a city. You live in the world. Good, Mistress. Reloaded. Reloaded on the comments. You have kids out there who know more than what adults give them credit for. Some children were and are perspective, both then and now. Perceptive, my fault. Are perceptive both then and now. Who is this? Abira, I think. Abira says, Kodak is talented, but he needs an ass whooping. I'm from Louisville. again, sometimes, it's an ass whooping. Sometimes, it's somebody gets shot up, or, sometimes, a person gets caught up in some type of criminal activity and they got to sit down, they got to go through them courts and stuff. And that court will give you a real reality check about life. It'll give you a very, very real reality check. And you realize, okay, it ain't what I thought, especially if you got to sit down for any type of time, especially a considerable amount of time. You'd be like, man, let me change. I got to switch it up. This ain't it. So usually it's jail or death, or some type of traumatic experience that make a person snap out of it. And then some people just ain't gonna never get it. Some people will never snap out of it because, they're resolved to their existence. What's up, Derek? I see you. D. Stewart. Boy called himself a black racist. Black racist. Black racist. Cowboys for life. Appreciate it. Cowboys for life. Yeah, so Tiffany said, how do you feel about selective morality? Charlemagne discussed it on the Breakfast Club. We should respect the dead, but how do we do it if we have no problem disrespecting the living? Great point. I'm about to come back to that one, Tiff. That's a very good point. That said, every Monday night, y'all, every Monday night, I gotta close it up, but every Monday night, started tonight, but every Monday night, here on our 7 to 9 p.m., we're gonna have the family meeting. If y'all got ideas that y'all want me to discuss, that we can have this meeting, that we should make a topic of discussion, send your ideas to mail@willied.com, mail@willied.com, and I'll take a look at it. And if I think it's interesting enough, we'll cover that on one of the upcoming installments of the family meeting. This is the biggest town hall in the world where your thoughts, your opinion will matter, and everybody gets a shot to speak on it. You dig what I'm saying? In closing, I will say this: the youth can't continue to make bad choices and blame their elders for misguiding them, and the elders can't continue to criticize the youth without first looking into the mirror and considering what role they played in that misguidance. If we haven't learned anything else tonight, I think we can all agree that actions have consequences. So choose wisely. No more talk.